Papa Noah here, River King Fish, uh-huh. Today we're going to discuss the following laws and executive orders to protect human health and the environment. The EPA is charged with administrating all or part of each. Now then, the first one is the Atomic Energy Act, or AEA, or the next one is the Chemical Safety Information, Site Security, and Fuels Regulatory Relief Act. They also administrate the Clean Air Act, or CAA. They also administrate the Clean Water Act, or CWA, original title, Federal Water Pollution Control Amendments of 1972. They also administrate the Comprehensive Environmental Response, Compensation, and Liability Act, or CERCLA, or Superfund. Dun-dun, Superfund! Okay, that was super fun, not super fund. But, okay. Next, they also administrate Emergency Planning and Community Right to Know Act, EPCRA. They also administrate Endangered Species Act, or ESA. They also administrate the Energy Independence and Security Act, EISA. They also administrate Energy Policy Act. Now then, an Executive Order 12898, Federal Actions to Address Environmental Justice in Minority Populations and Low-Income Populations. Now then, Executive Order 13045, Protection of Children from Environmental Health Risks and Safety Risks. Now then, Executive Order 13211, Actions concerning regulations that significantly affect energy supply, distribution, or use. Now then, Federal Food. Now then, back to a law. Federal, no, well, they're all laws, but this is a regulation, not an executive order. Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, or FFDCA. And that concludes part 1 of this summary of environmental laws and executive orders from the EPA website. Dun 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 dun! Papa Noah, River King Fish here, signing off. Dun 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 dun! Yep. Papa Noah, River King Fish here. Today we're going to discuss the summarization of the EPA's administration of laws and executive orders. The following law and executive orders help to protect human health and environment. The first one being of part 2 of the summary of the laws they administrate is Federal Insecticide, Fungicide, and Rodenticide Act, or FIFRA. Now then, the next is the Federal Water Pollution Control Amendments, see Clean Water Act. Next is Food Quality Protection Act, FQPA, CFFDCA, and FIFRA. Now then, next is Marine Protection, Research, and Sanctuaries Act, MPRSA, also known as the Ocean Dumping Act. Now then, the next is the National Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA. The next is National Technology Transfer and Advancement Act, or NTTAA. Next is Noise Control Act. Now then, next is Nuclear Waste Policy Act, NWPA. Now then, the next is Occupational Safety and Health, or OSHA, OSHA. Now then, the next is Ocean Dumping Act, Marine Protection, Research, and Sanctuaries Act. Now then, the next is Oil Pollution Act, or OPA, OPA. Now then, the next is Pesticide Registration Improvement Act, or PRIA, CFIFRA. Now then, the next is Pollution Prevention Act, or PPA. Now then, the next is Resource Conservation and Recovery Act, RCRA. Now then, the next is Safety Drinking Water Act, SWA. Now then, the next is Shore Protection Act, SPA. Now then, the next is Superfund. See Comprehensive Environmental Response Compensation and Liability Act. Now then, the next is Superfund Amendments and Reauthorizations Act, or SARA, SARA. See Comprehensive Environmental Response Compensation and Liability Act. Papa No River Kingfish here, signing off. Dun 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 dun. Yep. Papa No here, River Kingfish. And today we're going to discuss some laws and executive orders that are administered by the Environmental Protection Agency to protect human health and the environment. We'll also discuss the summary of laws and executive orders that influence the regulatory process. Now then, the Toxic Substance Controls Act is the TSACA, which is the final law that is administered by the EPA. Now then, moving right along to the summaries of laws that influence the regulatory process, starting with the Administrative Procedure Act, or APA. Next is the Congressional Review Act, CRA, and next is the Executive Order 12866, Regulatory Planning and Review. Next is the Executive Order 13132, Federalism. Next is Executive Order 13175, Consultation and Coordination with Indian Tribal Governments. Next is Federal Advisory Committee Act, FACA for short. Next is the Freedom of Information Act, or FOIA for short. Next is Paperwork Reduction Act, PRA for short. Next is the Privacy Act. Next is the Regulatory Flexibility Act, or RFA for short. And next is the Small Business Regulatory Enforcement Fairness Act, or SBREFA. See also Regulatory Flexibility Act. Next is the Unfunded Mandate Reform Act, or UMRA for short. Papa No here, River Kingfish, signing off. Dun 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 dun. Yep. Papa No here. Papa No, River Kingfish. Papa No, River Kingfish here, reporting on the laws that govern agriculture and farming. First up is the Farm Security and Rural Investment Act of 2002 Farm Bill. Now then, the next one is the Commodity Credit Corporation Charter Act, as amended through PL 108/358, October 22nd, 2004, CCC Charter Act. Now then, the next is the Consolidated Farm and Rural Development Act, as amended through the publication of L 109 through 171, February 8, 2006, Consolidated Farm and Rural Development Act, or CONACT for short. Now then, the next is the Food Security Act of 1985, Title X11, Conservation, as amended through publication L 109 through 171, Food and Security Act of 1985. Now then, the next is U.S. Warehouse Act, as amended through publication L 107-293, November 13, 2002. Now then, the next is the United States Warehouse Act, or USWA. That was the same one as before. Now then, the next is Agricultural Credit Act of 1987. Agricultural Credit Act of 1987. Now then, the next is Section 32 of the Act of August 24, 1935, and related laws, as amended through publication L 107 through 195, February 16, 2002, Section 32, and related laws. Now then, the next is Department of Defense Appropriations Act of 2006, Division B, Emergency Supplemental Appropriations to address hurricanes in the Gulf of Mexico and pandemic influenza, 2006, publication L 109/148, December 30th, 2005. 109 through 148, 2005, hurricanes. Now the next is Emergency Supplemental Appropriations Act for Defense, the Global War on Terror, and Hurricane Recovery, 2006, publication L 109 through 234, June 15, 2006, PL 109 through 234, 2005, Hurricanes Supplemental Appropriations. Now the next, Confirmation of Authority of Secretary of Agriculture to collect state commodity assessments, publication L 108/470, or 108 through 470, December 21st, 2004, PL 108 through 470, assessments. Now then, next is the American Jobs Creation Act of 2004, Title VI, Fair and Equitable Tobacco Reform, publication L 108 through 357, October 22nd, 2004, PL 108 through 357, 2004, Jobs Creation, Tobacco Buyout, Title VI. Now then, next, Military Construction Appropriations and Emergency Hurricane Supplemental Appropriations Act, Division B, Emergency Supplemental Appropriations for Hurricane Disasters Assistance Act, 2005. Publication L 108 through 324, October 13, 2004, 108 through 324, 2004, disaster. Next is Grain Standards and Warehouse Improvements Act of 2000, publication L 106 through 472, November 9, 2000. Popping over here, that River King Fish, signing off. Dun 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 dun. Yeah. Papa Noah here, River King Fish. Papa Noah here, River King Fish. And today we're going to go over some farming and agricultural laws. So, let us start off with the Grain Standards and Warehouse Improvement Act of 2000. Next, we have the Contract with America Advancement Act of 1996, Title II Small Business Regulatory Fairness Act, or SBREFA. Next, we have the Paperwork Reduction Act of 1995, L 104 through 13, May 22nd, 1995, PL 1040/13, PRA of 1995, Paperwork Reduction Act. Freedom to E-File Act, Publication L 106 through 222, June 20th, 2000, Freedom to E-File Act. Now then, next, the Federal Agricultural Improvement and Reform Act of 1996 Farm Bill, Publication L 104 through 127, April 4th, 1996. PL 104/127, 1996 Act, or FAIR Act for short. Dun 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 dun. Papa Noah, River King Fish is signing off. Dun 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 dun.